Well, good evening, everybody. This is William K. Murtaugh, Witness One, and tonight I'm going to discuss a rather sad story. As you may have heard through the mainstream news, Miya Marcano, a 19-year-old woman from Orlando that had been missing for a little over a week, was found today in mid-afternoon in a condemned apartment complex in Orlando, Florida. Now, it is believed that the uh, reason the apartment was checked is that law enforcement had done a ping on the person of interest uh, cell phone, and as a result, uh, they went to the apartment complex and searched uh, the area, and she was found in a field in a part of the property where portions of the apartment complex had been torn down. Now, I'm going to play some rough videos and comment as I go along. I went to the apartment complex today, was able to find the crime scene where she was found, and I will uh, do my best to um, narrate the footage. Please understand that this was shot in a hurry. It's raw footage. I'll try my best to make it as smooth as possible, but because of the nature of what I was doing, I was unable to um, capture the video as well as I would like to have. I did not take any of my equipment with me. I had just gotten back from what I usually do on Saturdays and had to rush down there to do this. Uh, this video, okay, hold on. I gotta re-cue this because well, I gotta take this down. Okay, now I should be able to play this video. Um, this was where she was found. That hat. I'll put that up um, later. But as you can see, these apartments uh, are in horrible shape. This part has been condemned. They're due to be demolished. Um, and there's junk strewn all over the place. Now, as it turned out, the person of interest actually lived in this apartment complex at one time. And so he knew the condition of the apartment. He knew that it was condemned. And the area he chose to place her body is in a remote area far from the complex. And so this is basically what um, you see. Okay, that's my fault. I did the wrong switching. So anyway, I'm back. I hope. As I was saying, this is a feral cat. This is a common house cat like the one I used to own, and he kind of gave me a quick tour of this particular apartment. Um, Now this she was not found in this apartment. This is just uh, I did this part of the video to show you what um, the conditions of the apartments are in. They're getting ready to tear these down, so the interior has been stripped. Now this is a high crime area. Uh, Thank you, Trippy. I made a mistake in my switching. Uh, and there's a heavy use of drugs. Now, what's interesting about the story behind these apartments is that people purchase these apartments with the hope of restoring them and making a profit. Unfortunately for the individuals, one day while they were doing work on the restoration process, they were robbed, shot, and killed. So there's a bad reputation already with these apartments. As we move back outdoors, um, let me see if I can catch this. Okay, now in the extreme right hand corner of this image, if you notice way off in the distance, there is an object in the middle of the road. That is a sofa. And uh, I'm not sure why it was put there, other than maybe somebody didn't want people going down that road or what have you. But me and a out of town um, reporter that happened to be there went down and we went through this barrier. Um, Now, what I did do, I walked farther down this particular complex to kind of give everyone an indication of the environment. Now, this field here, behind the palm tree, you'll see off in the distance a second palm tree. Uh, it is beyond that palm tree where the body was alleged to be found. They had uh, several um crime scene tape perimeters up. They had most than likely closed off a wide area, and then the part where the body was found, they cordoned off a smaller area. And again, basically it's an abandoned area, mountains of trash all around the area. Now I continued to walk down the road for a ways, basically canvassing the area, showing more of the environment. Now, obviously, this area has no electricity, has no street lights. So if he had come down here late in the afternoon or after sundown, it is pitch black. He would not have been seen. Um, and so this turned out to be the ideal place to uh, dispose of her. And if it had not been for the ping on his cell phone and the Orange County Sheriff's Department doing research into the fact that this individual lived here, we might never have known where she was. Now, this second video is the crime scene. She was found um, right about there, somewhere in this general area. There's no signs of where she might have been. It's This is all grass. I have a tremendous amount of video, and some of the video did not come out because the phone was acting up. But basically, it was found in this general area. This is actually the first of two areas. This is the crime scene tape that they had gathered up and put into a grocery cart just to kind of clean things up a little bit. And again, it's you can see that people have gathered here, probably a forensics team or even people in the neighborhood who basically hang around down here. Um, but there are right there, it's hard to see in the grass and the way I was moving around, but those are CSI gloves. So they more than likely were doing examinations and removal of the body from that particular site. Um, and then somebody left these flowers um, in the area, and they are fresh flowers, cut flowers. So someone apparently left a little memorial. I walked up into this field a little bit just in case I could see more of uh, things in this particular field. Um, and of course, I did not. They more than likely um, quickly removed her after taking initial pictures and so forth and took her over to the medical examiner's office. And this car here is a bunch of people that came down. They actually followed the live truck in here, and we talked for a little bit, and you know, I asked them a few questions and so forth and so on. Unfortunately, I had let the camera drop, so I cut it off at this point. But that is basically now over in here. I've got some still images. Um, that was the news van that followed me in. This is an out of town news reporter that came in, and he was with his photographer. They took shots similar to mine, and they departed the area. It's like I said, I've got more videos. What I'm going to do is in the next day or two, I'm going to make a montage and put it up showing the um, some of the videos that I omitted. I had a little bit of a problem tonight getting the phone to transfer these um, images out. So, this is what I came up with. Now, in the meantime, they had been searching up in Sanford for her. And when they were notified that uh, she had been found, they immediately called off the search. And Orange County Sheriff was basically keeping an eye on things. So, it's a sad end to a sad story. Um, it's basically uh, a guy that got turned down by his. Um, he was infatuated with her, but he got turned down. Um, and apparently, from what I'm able to understand, is she did say that she would go on a date with him, and then for some reason she backed out of it. Now, this may have what got him angry enough to do what he did. Um, she was planning on flying back to her home in South Florida, and apparently the struggle happened after she got off work. He had been waiting in the apartment for roughly a half an hour, and when he came in, um, there was a struggle. It's unknown whether there was any physical violence, rape, or anything of that nature. Uh, and somehow she was murdered and basically left in a field surrounded by junk. Um, it's unfortunate that this thing happened, but in this day and age, it's far too common. And so, that's just what happened. This happened roughly 15 minutes from where I was when I found out about this. So I was able to go down there. Uh, there wasn't very many people at the scene, surprisingly enough. There were three news vans uh, parked on the corner. Um, and there was the one live truck that, or live van, I should say, that had been in there. Uh, and he actually followed me because I knew the layout of that complex and I had a feeling I knew where she was. And sure enough, it was right down in the area that had been torn down originally. Yeah, Lori, he apparently abducted her from her apartment. Now, remember, this guy was a maintenance worker. He had a master key to the entire complex. So he was able to uh, basically go in the apartment and wait for her to show up. And they stated that there had been a struggle. And in the struggle, it's obvious what must have happened. Um, and so uh, they don't know either one, Rebecca. They don't know if she was sexually assaulted, and they do not know the cause of death yet. Now, they obviously would have been transported to the medical examiner's office. They will do the normal things that they do in these examinations to determine cause of death, to determine time of death, and determine if there was sexual assault. Now, I would be surprised if there was not, but um, it's one of these things you don't know. And over the next coming days and weeks, they will come out with the story on exactly what happened to this young lady. They're going to find out, exactly why this happened and so forth. Yeah, that's the bad thing about this. He was lying in wait. This is someone who had a trusted position. He was a maintenance worker at this apartment. Uh, it is not known. Uh, excuse me. It's not known um, if he assaulted her in the apartment or not. Uh, that part we don't know. Now, remember, he was caught carrying a blanket or something out of the apartment. Now, what is not known, and this is what's going to come out in the examination at the coroner's, is her exact time of death. Once they have an exact time of death, they can summarize as to when she was killed and where. Now, they have not said if they found the blanket. All that's been said is that, they found the body, um, and very little else has come out concerning, um, exactly. Um, I wonder why that didn't. Um, it has not come out exactly uh, when, how, and where everything happened. It's just one of these um, things that, it's going to have to wait. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was doing something and I just completely got lost in thought for some reason. I'm trying to copy. Okay, there it is. Wonder why. I'm trying to upload an image and it's not uploading, and I'm trying to figure out why. Oh, that's why I'm in the wrong category. Because this particular slide that I'm bringing up, um, the residents of the apartment are angry over the fact that this young lady was murdered, and the the fact that the place is open leads to that. Yeah, uh, F. Rich, that is. a valid point. This guy had met the girl in the apartment. As usually happens in a domestic situation, he um, snapped, and there's a possibility he assaulted her and then he killed her. And she is a relatively small woman. This is a 19-year-old woman. She was very short. And so he was able somehow to get her out of that apartment into his car, drive about 15 minutes to a half an hour to this apartment complex where he used to live, dispose of the body, somehow get back up to Seminole County, which is an hour from that apartment complex. So he would have gone up I-4 from downtown Orlando. And then, it sank into him that he had made a horrible mistake and done something that um, he was um, not going to be able to repent or anything else. So he just decided to end his life. Uh, and he took the story of exactly what happened, why, and how with him. And so basically, we're going to have to wait for the information to come out of law enforcement. Rebecca, that's true. He more than likely was. Uh, it was said by witnesses, residents of the apartment, and by the sheriff's department in briefings that he had a romantic interest in her. He had made advances many times, and she had rebuffed him. Now, it's not said um, exactly how long this had been going on. It's been going on for a while, uh, probably shortly after she became a resident of the apartment complex, worked there, and they struck up a conversation. He misread her in thinking that she was interested in him, or he was interested in her to the point uh, that it became an obsession. And because of that, um, he basically um, took it to the extreme. It resulted in her death and eventually his death. Golden, I would suspect that we will get uh, more information as they do forensics on his phone. Um, and so we are going to find that out. Now, as far as criminal history, I have not heard if he had one. Um, Now, given the fact that he lived smack in the center of one of the drug centers of this city, I would not be surprised if he's had at least drug crimes in his jacket. Whether or not he had um, sexual offenses, I don't know. And what I do not know is what measures the apartment complex takes in doing background checks on their employees. You know, remember, this guy basically had the run of the place. He had keys to everything. Um, okay, Fritch, thanks for that. So he does have a criminal record. And why the apartment complex hired him with a burglary arrest is one of these questions that's going to have to be answered because now they're facing a liability here because they hired someone with a criminal record, gave him the keys to the city, so to speak, in this very large complex, and so he had the run of the place. And he could burglarize these apartments and no one would be the wiser unless he left fingerprints or something. But they took the risk of hiring somebody with this kind of a criminal record. And I would not be surprised if the complex gets sued either by the family or by the other residents in that complex. This is a valid reason to break a lease. I would hasten to suggest that people are going to start looking for another place to live and they are going to break their lease and get the heck out of there. So this story is not over by a long shot. We've got um, a long ways to go on this story before it dwindles out. Now, uh, there's going to obviously be a service for her once the body's released, and then it's more than likely going to be in South Florida where she lives. I would doubt that they're going to have anything up here as far as a funeral. They may have some kind of a memorial service, but I would think that the family is going to take her back down to the greater Miami area where she lived. Well, Florida is a state of low wages. Uh, the median wage for maintenance personnel is under $500 a week, maybe $600 a week. Um, and so the these apartments, they cut costs as best they can, and um, there's no security at the gate. There's a security guard shed, but no security guard. The gate is never locked. People can walk right in there. And so this is the concern of the residents, is that people can just march in there and, put everybody in danger. And this is what happened. She walked in to her apartment and came face to face with a predator and lost her life because of it. Now, one thing I want to check on while I'm going through my database here is there is no news on Brian Laundrie, who is still missing. Um, he is basically a fugitive from justice. There is a warrant for his arrest. It's a federal warrant. Uh, Now, for some strange reason, people are starting a rumor that Brian has been found, and that is not true. There is no confirmation that he has been found. So, um, this is one of the problems when following these cases is you get these armchair detectives that seem to have all the answers. Yeah, unfortunately, Golden Mare, what is the problem in state of Florida is that this is a right to work state. And it's generally true that in right to work states, the um, salaries are going to be very low. Now, as of yesterday, the Florida minimum wage went up to $10 an hour. Now, this is a buck plus what it was. It was eight and a quarter, 8.35 an hour until the 1st of October, and it went up to $10 an hour. So it's going to help some people with their standard of living, but it is still not enough. Uh, Now, that's another strange thing about the Gabby case is there are people that are supporting Brian. Now, it is true that he is innocent until proven guilty, but he is still on the run. And until he turns himself in or is caught and this goes to court, we are not going to know uh, what happened here. They, as far as I know, they have not come out with a cause of death. And so we wait anxiously for the answer to that case. And also, I was going to do it tonight, but did not get into things because this came up is that the QAnon murderer who took out his two children because he thought they were possessed by the devil and all that stuff from um, the um, conspiracy theories from QAnon and so forth. Um, he was arraigned on the 30th, and I need to check and find out what the status of that case is. Yeah, they keep raising the award for his capture, reward, I should say, for his capture. Now it's up to um, $200,000. It keeps going up and up and up as time goes by. So the cause of death from Gabby has not been released. Not sure when that's going to happen. And it's the same here. They have not given a cause of death on this case either. And that is not going to be known for some time. Uh, they're going to do all kinds of tests, see if there's any DNA on her body or on anything that was in the crime scene that might give them a clue as to um, what happened. Okay, this is not working the way it's supposed to. So I'm just going to take that out. So we are left with questions, which is usually the case in these um, investigations early on, as to what all happened here. Yeah, yeah, Golden. The minimum wages was so low in Florida that very few people made the minimum wage. They always made more than the minimum wage. Um, Now, where people suffer from these low wages are temp workers, and in some cases, people in the food and some retail outlets that pay the minimum wage. Other employers pay slightly above the minimum wage in order to attract people, and even some temp agencies pay above the minimum wage. Now, with the Florida minimum wage now at $10 an hour, it's going to boost a lot of people. Unfortunately, I believe the tip wage in Florida remains the same. Yeah, there's been a lot of nonsense going on in social media. Our friends over at the fake task force have gone way off into orbit with their idiotic conspiracy theories. So, that has not changed. Uh, Yeah, Golden Mare. The sister uh, lied about not seeing him. She used the excuse that she misinterpreted the question, which is kind of weird because you either saw him or you didn't. Um, so I'm not sure of her specific reason for saying that that was an error on her part instead of a lie, but it doesn't make sense because you either see him or you didn't. She probably is trying to say, well, I thought by what you meant by seeing him was that I had him visit or something rather than just happen to see him at the campground. But that's ridiculous on its face. And I'm pretty sure law enforcement is keeping a real close eye on her and other members of the family because, the stories are out there that the laundries are not at all being cooperative um, as far as getting out there and pleading for Brian to turn himself in and pleading with, making the kind of appeals that you would make when a loved one is missing. So it's kind of uh, odd as to what's going on in his case. So, so everybody is following that situation. Well, Golden, that's good. You were in an occupation where you were able to do that. A lot of people down here are. We have a lot of good opportunities down here, especially for people that start and run their own business. Uh, when I was in my own business, I made far and above the minimum wage. So you know, I was pretty lucky there for a while. And then the big real estate bust came about and it just crapped out the, uh, the economy down here. Yeah, she apparently went to DeSoto because her parents was there was the excuse she used, and Brian just happened to be there. Is the story, and now why she said that she didn't see him, I don't know. Um, it just, it just seems shady that she did that. So that's going to be, obviously the um, law enforcement's going to be studying that real hard to see just what the story is on that. And they did come out with a second video, body cam video of her. I have not looked at it yet to see. It is not known if Brian left with his sister or not. Uh, if law enforcement knows that, they are not saying anything. Okay, I'm just trying to. I'm doing my usual. Oops. I'm doing my usual checking. Yeah, I was afraid it was going to do that. Try it again. Yep, there we go. Well, I can guarantee you the FBI is all over this because number one, they're under pressure, and number two, they want to find this guy. Um, Hi, fireman. Welcome to the chat. Uh, Now, I am in the Neely Blanchard case, and there's been a series of developments. Uh, The pretrial conference has been continued. Um, this case is continued into the pretrial conference docket on January 6, 2022. So, what's going on here is that the Blanchard case is now going into January. And as luck would have it, it's going to be right around the same time that the Cynthia Absug trial is supposed to start. Because they are having a pre-trial conference for the Cynthia Absug trial on January 6th. So I may be in Colorado while this case in Florida is going on. So that's going to be a weird year. Uh, okay. Jury selection is now scheduled for January 24th, 2022. So uh, you just won your bet, fireman, because with this, I'm reading line by line on the Florida docket. And with jury selection starting on January 24th, we are looking at the trial starting in that part of January. So I'll be back because the trial of Cynthia Absug is January 10th and it's supposed to last a week. So I will be doing Cynthia Absug's trial. I will be coming back to Orlando running my schedule that I run. And then I will be going up to Ocala again in 2 weeks to do the Blanchard trial. So it looks like January is going to be a busy year for me. It's going to be an expensive one, but it's going to be uh, uh, busy. So we're going to have two major trials come up in January. And uh, now, with this case, since the person of interest in this case, the Miya case, there will be no trial because you can't try a dead person. That's just, we don't do that in law. Uh, what will happen is there may be an inquest. The sheriff will do his briefings like he always does because we're very open in this state about these kind of proceedings. And we will find out bit by bit by bit what happened. You know, how they got together, how she was killed, the specific cause of death, and a timeline of from that Friday up until today as to what happened to this young lady. And so that is where we stand on that. So the Nellie Blanchard case is moving forward. It looks like they are going to delve into more with the um, public defender. Okay, the pre-trial conference that's coming up in January is going to be private. So I doubt there's going to be any Zoom hearing, and there's not going to be anybody allowed in court for that. Yeah, they. I heard that, Golden. Apparently, Colorado Internal Affairs is in on investigation. Okay, that one's a surprise. I wonder what's going on with that because usually when Internal Affairs gets involved, that means that there is a law enforcement official that has had a complaint lodged for wrongdoing. 'Doing. So I would be curious to know what the hell that's about. There is no news on the witness list. Since a hearing that was done uh, just after she was extradited to Colorado, the judge has sealed the case. So getting information about her case is like pulling teeth. Uh, every time I call up there, they say, well, the case is sealed right now. We cannot give you any information, and we do not know when the judge is going to allow the case to become unsealed. Now, this is mainly because there are children involved in this case, uh, and the one is still a minor. So I doubt we're going to get anything out of this until the hearing. Uh, Neely's is the same thing. There is no witness list for that case either as of yet. Uh, Now, I don't recall seeing a formal ruling that they were going to seal the case. It's just that for whatever reason, they have not assembled a witness list other than members of law enforcement and the medical examiner that are going to be testifying. I don't know if any of the officials from Georgia are going to have anything to say, and any out of state law enforcement when it comes to her past history or the history of the weapon that was used in the murders. Um, so that basically is on hold as well. So, yeah, we're at a point now where we are in a holding pattern, waiting to see what's going to develop on both of these cases. And I'm also going to be keeping track of the third case out in California to see where that one's going. And if anything else comes up, naturally, I will be monitoring them. Um, okay, Levi Page is going to be on the air at 10:30 again. So what I am going to do is I will be going off the air um, as to not interfere with his live stream, and I may go over there and kind of monitor that because I always like to see what Levi has to say. He has good resources when it comes to the Landry case and these other cases. So, um, and Molly Golightly had a meltdown, and the interview room is terminated. So that, well, take care of that. Well, Lori, thanks for coming in. It's like I said, I'm probably going to log off at 10 o'clock because at some point, I'm going to do a recorded video summarizing everything that happened in this particular case uh, and in anything else that happens to develop if they find laundry or if something else turns up of importance. Yeah, I really don't care what they do. I mean, it's childish. I don't do it to their channel, but I like doing it here. So, it's just, they're weird. Um, they got their own thing over there. They ought to stay over there and do their own thing. Because personally, I don't care about them. They're irrelevant and immaterial. But, what are you going to do? But I do appreciate those of you who stick with me through this. I try my best to provide accurate information and information that you're not going to get anywhere else, at least not right away. Um, and, I am going to follow what's going on. Well, internal investigations usually are not released to the general public. So, whatever's happening in Colorado in regards to the attorney general, that'll have to come out eventually. And it's going to be uh, the press up there who have the networking that will disclose that information in due course. It's best not to listen to social media pundits like the PPTF who have no idea what they're talking about. And thank you, fireman. I appreciate the compliment. I do my best. Uh, Levi himself does an outstanding job. I always like watching him. And, even if I don't go on and comment all the time on his show, I at least watch it. Uh, and the interaction between him and Alex is always interesting to watch. So, be sure to go over to the Levi's show after you log off here and check him out. See what he's up to. Sounds like he's got a full board tonight. And I don't know that much about this interview room, so I'll be curious to see what that's all about. Again, please like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and share the content. Uh, I'm not sure when I'm going to be doing the next video or marathon. I try to do the marathon at least every Saturday. If anything, just so everybody can get together and chat about what they feel like, and so on and so forth. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and log off. I do appreciate everybody coming in. Go over and say hi to Levi for me, and probably see you guys over there. And so until then, have a good one.